We're going to start out here by drawing a couple of Bohr models of lithium. Lithium has 3 protons. And most of the lithium atoms that exist have 4 neutrons. This means that there are 7 particles in the center of most lithium atoms, and we know that 3 of them are going to be protons. And we'll draw some electron energy shells here in our little Bohr model, and we'll put the first 2 electrons here, and we'll put the third one there. So you see that there are 3 electrons and 3 protons, so this atom has no overall charge. It has a mass of 7 atomic mass units, because there are 7 things in the middle, and each of those things has a mass of 1 atomic mass unit. The electrons have no mass. Scientists have learned that 90% of all lithium atoms are what's called lithium-7. And we call it lithium-7 because it has not only 7 things in the middle, but it has a mass of 7, because each of those things has a mass of 1 atomic mass unit, and they add up. There's another version of lithium out there that is rare, and it makes up only 10% of the lithium atoms that are out there. It has a mass of 6 atomic mass units. Here's what it looks like. Because it's lithium, it still has 3 protons. I'm going to make these a little darker this time. And it has only 3 neutrons. There's the nucleus. Here are the first 2 electrons. And there's the third. So 10% of all lithiums are this one, 90% are this one. This one's called lithium-7. This one is called lithium-6. Now, if you look at the box on the periodic table, you'll see some information about lithium. You'll see this gigantic 3. The gigantic 3 is what's called the atomic number. The atomic number tells us the number of protons that's better. And once we know the number of protons, we know the identity of the element. And for now, it is also equal to the number of electrons. And you'll later learn that this is not entirely true. And now we have this term called the atomic weight. It's confusing sometimes for students because some resources call the atomic weight the atomic mass instead. So we'll use the term atomic weight, and this is the decimal. Now, because some lithium atoms are lithium-7 and others are lithium-6, and lithium-7 atoms are found as 90% of all lithium atoms, and lithium-6 atoms are 10% of them, we have to calculate what's called a weighted average. And the way that we do this is we take the mass, which is 7, and we multiply it by 90%, turned into the equivalent decimal. And when we multiply this together, we end up getting 6.3. Is that right? Yes, it is. And then we're also going to take the mass of the other lithium atom that exists, and we're going to multiply that by its percentage, 10% turned into a decimal. And this comes out to be 0.6. Whoops. Close enough. 0.6. And if you add these together, 6.3 plus 0.6, you get 6.9, which is very close to this number. And that's how we get that number. This is a 6. So the atomic weight, the decimal number, is what's called the weighted average of all existing versions, which we're going to call isotopes, of an element. So this is an isotope of lithium, and this is another one. Now the mass number is something different. The mass number is not found in the box on the periodic table, but you can still figure it out, because all you have to do is round the decimal, round the atomic weight. So that tells us that the mass number of lithium is 7. So I'll put a 7 here in parentheses. And you might be wondering, well, how do you know which lithium we're talking about? Well, if you round this number to the nearest whole number, you get 7, which turns out to be the most common version of lithium in the first place. So when we talk about the mass number, the truth is, this version of lithium has a mass number of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This version of lithium has a mass number of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the mass number that we're going to be using is for the most common element or version of lithium. So the mass number is the rounded atomic weight. Another way to think of it is the mass of the atom. If each of these particles have a mass of 1 atomic mass unit, and these have no mass, then the entire mass of the lithium atom here is going to be equal to 7 AMUs. The mass of this will be 6 AMU. So the mass number tells us the mass of the atom because it is the sum of the protons and the neutrons in the nucleus. Count up the number of things in the nucleus, and that will tell you the mass of the entire atom, because each of those particles in the nucleus has a mass of 1 atomic mass unit. So if we apply this now, lithium has an atomic number of 3. Its atomic weight is 6.941, and the mass number of lithium is this number rounded to the nearest whole number, 7, and this is the most common. This is the mass number of the most common version of lithium. So one final thing that you can do, if you look at the periodic table, what you should now be able to figure out is the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons of any element. The number of protons is equal to the atomic number. The number of electrons for now is also equal to the atomic number. And to get the number of neutrons, you take this decimal, you round it to the nearest whole number, 7. That tells you how many total things are in the middle. You know that 3 of them are protons. And if you do some subtraction, you can discover that there are 4 neutrons in the most common version of lithium. So once again, the atomic number, 3, tells us that lithium has 3 protons, 3 electrons, and then if you round the atomic weight decimally number to the nearest whole number, you'll get 7. Subtract the number of protons, and that will tell you the number of neutrons. And all of this is only true for the most common version of lithium. And that's the lithium we're usually talking about.